Well, it's our identity. And like it's who we are. It's the guys we have that are capable of doing it. And you got a bunch of guys that want to defend. They want to sit down and guard. You have three guys that I want to make the all defensive team.
The Orlando Magic are putting the entire league on notice right now, as they currently ranked second behind the Celtics in the East with a 15-7 record. And as Jamal Mosley said in the opening clip, a huge chunk of their recent success can be pinned down to one thing, and that is their defense. So far across 20 games, the Magic have been nothing short of spectacular on the defensive end, ranking 4th in the NBA in terms of defensive rating, 3rd in defensive rebound percentage, 4th in steals with 4 players averaging more than 1 steal per game, and they're also 2nd when it comes to forcing turnovers with 16.4 a ball game. Having been around the league as an assistant coach for both the Cavaliers and the Mavericks for several seasons, we're now seeing the full results of Mosley's defense-first approach, which was already in the works since he took over the reins 2 seasons ago. See, from finishing with a 22-60 record in 2021, the Magic racked up 12 more wins the following season with the arrival of Paolo Banchero, while slightly improving their defensive rating year after year. And as I mentioned earlier, they're now the 3rd best defensive team in the NBA right now, as they only allow 109.4 points per game. Anyway, the success that they're experiencing right now defensively is not just some stroke of luck or any kind of reason, because according to Mosley, he and his team have been specifically hand-picking guys that would fit the defense-first culture that he brought in.
Well, credit goes to Jeff and his group for the guys that they bring in. They bring in guys that are capable with length to defend, basketball IQs that understand the game. So even if you're not as physically capable at times, you understand positioning. You understand where to be on the floor. And then the concepts that we've put in place, we don't treat it like rocket science. Sit down, can you guard your man? Are you going to be there in your help early? The ability just to break down and be in a stance. Those are little things that kind of get overlooked, but we have guys that are willing and wanting to do it.
As you heard from Mosley, his staff would usually bring in guys with length and size that would fit in the defensive schemes that they're employing. If you take a look at their roster, most of their bigs fit this type of profile, such as Banchero, the Wagner brothers, Carter Jr., Goga, and Isaac, because they all have a wingspan that exceeds 7 feet. And when it comes to their guards, guys like Jalen Suggs, Gary Harris, Cole Anthony, and Anthony Black are just all over the place, scrambling on the defensive end. And even though they're not as lengthy as their front court counterparts, they're very quick in rotating, and they also have high basketball IQ to make up for their lack of size. But ultimately, apart from the physical tools and skills that each of them possesses, what makes them so lethal defensively as a unit is their 100% commitment and willingness to defend in each possession, night in and night out. And if you sum it all up, their effort and energy, along with their tremendous versatility, are basically the key components as to why they're locking NBA teams now on the defensive end. Now, to clearly illustrate this, here's their elite defense working on full display. You got Jaylen Brown here backing his way down against the much smaller Jalen Suggs. Most teams would usually send help in this situation, but not the Magic, since they knew Suggs could hold his own. And even if they don't send out an extra body, you can see that they were able to shrink the floor with their length, and this allows them to momentarily help out, or at least bother Brown, just like what Banchero and Anthony did here, while not leaving their defensive assignments completely and still able to recover to the shooters in case Brown sprays it out. And since all of his options are shut down, Suggs just locked up Brown in this possession, as he literally got nowhere to go. What I also like about the way they're defending is that they always have each other's backs, should there be any lapse in their defensive schemes, or if someone messes up his coverage. You can see here that Banchero loses Toppin on the closeout drive, but even though Toppin got ahead of Paolo, Goga was there to help him out coming from the middle and prevented an easy 2 points. Now in this possession, you'll see how coordinated they are as a unit whenever they're switching on ball screens. Banchero got caught on the Vucevic screen here, and as soon as that happens, Goga hard hedges on the ball handler to prevent lane penetration. The action leaves Vucevic diving on the roll, and Anthony Black now has a difficult task at hand as he has to guard 2 areas at the same time. But despite that, look at how Black covers the roll guy here, and when Williams III skips it to Levine, Black is there yet again, recovering just in time to defend and contest Levine's jumper. And here, Isaac did a good job of denying Tatum the ball screen. Mo Wagner then shows up on a soft hedge, and the length of these two guys kind of puts Tatum on an invincible box here, with Wagner closing up on the front, while Isaac tailing him from behind. Because of their long arms, Tatum can't simply shovel a pass to Cornette, who's diving inside. He also can't kick the ball out to Horford since Franz is there, and even if he skips it to the shooters, Harris and Anthony will surely recover or perhaps even grab a steal. So the remaining option now for Tatum is to take a mid-range jumper. But with Isaac on his hip, Isaac's length and wingspan can easily block his attempt. Anyway, with nowhere to go, Tatum uncharacteristically takes a floater, and since Wagner is there in front of him, he just plows through him, resulting in an offensive foul. As you saw in the previous clips, the reason why the Magic are so tough to beat defensively is that their bigs are so long and lengthy that you would have a hard time getting an open look or a direct line to pass the ball to someone else, because their hands are basically blocking the passing lanes. And in case you're able to squeeze one through, their plethora of cat-quick guards will just scramble on the closeout and apply intense on-ball pressure right after, and before you know it, you're back at the drawing board, planning your next attack on how you can break down this Magic defense. Collectively speaking, the Magic seems to have figured out how to work as a unit defensively. But what's scary about them is that they also have elite defenders on an individual level, with one of them being Jalen Suggs. I mean, out of all the Magic players, you can easily single out Suggs as the guy who plays with the most intensity on defense, as he's just got that dog in him when battling against bigger players. You can see right here that Siakam has already sealed Suggs deep in the paint, but instead of giving up an easy 2, Suggs just fights out of his way of this mismatch and even grabs a steal in the process through his hustle and effort. Now, as Jokic backs down Goga here, look at how Suggs checks out the situation underneath, and when Jokic briefly turns around, Suggs swoops inside and blocks his shot coming from the blind side. Suggs is turning out to be the Magic's top perimeter defender, and he kind of has the same vibe as GP2 and Derek White, with how he's been locking up people and scrambling all over the place just to get the stop. Apart from him, Jonathan Isaac is also stepping it up as of late on the defensive end. He ranks second in the team with 1.3 blocks behind Goga, and ranks first in terms of defensive box plus-minus with a 3.4 rating. Clearly, Isaac is making a huge statement this season, and it looks like he got the spring back on his legs following back-to-back seasons of dealing with his ACL injury. See, J.I. is on an island here with Giannis, and as you can see, he was able to cut his attacking lane by laterally exploding to his right. Then when Giannis spun the other way around, Isaac's size and length were there to bother him, and eventually, he even blocks his shot as he timed him perfectly. Anyway, there's just no way of going around this solid Magic team from a defensive standpoint, because as you saw in the previous clips, they're just well coordinated and extremely disciplined as a unit. And they also got a bunch of guys that take pride in playing D, like Suggs and Isaac, on an individual level. Even though it's still early in the season, and the sample size that we have right now isn't that conclusive just yet, the Orlando Magic is certainly trending upward thanks to their defense. And if they can keep this up, they can surely play the role of party crashers come playoff time.